All right, folks, it's a beautiful day at the old ballpark. So put your mustard on that dog, grab that bag of peanuts, sip that cold one, and let's meet our Tiger of the Day.
Today's Tiger video is Brennan Boesch. He is represented by a 2010 Topps Update base card number US43 with a on-card auto slabbed by stats grading. In late April of 2010, the Detroit Tigers needed a spark. Injuries were piling up, the lineup needed a jolt, and a left-handed bat was raking in AAA. So Detroit made the call, and Brennan Boesch showed up like a thunderclap. Today we're diving into the Detroit chapter of Brennan Boesch, how he went from emergency call-up to Comerica Park sensation to one of the most memorable what-could-have-been bats of the early 2000s Tigers. Brennan Boesch wasn't a household name when 2010 began. He'd been drafted by Detroit, developed through the system, and started the season in AAA Toledo. Then an injury created an opening, and the Tigers brought him up in April, and he wasted no time. In his very first big league game, Boesch stepped in and attacked the moment. One pitch in, he ripped a ball for extra bases, an instant, "Okay, who is this guy?" moment for Tigers fans. If you want a single highlight that captures Boesch's Detroit arrival, it's April 30th, 2010. Boesch comes up and absolutely detonates a grand slam, one of those swings where the crowd is up before the ball even lands. Detroit didn't just get a bench bat. For a few months, it felt like they'd found a long-term piece. Then came the surge. Boesch caught fire in May, and then he did it again in June. The league noticed. He took home American League Rookie of the Month honors in both months. For Tigers fans watching in real time, it didn't feel like a fluke. It felt like the start of something big, a strong left-handed corner outfielder with power and confidence. Exactly the type of bat Detroit loves. By the end of his rookie season, he'd put up 14 home runs and 67 RBIs, excellent production for a first-year player. And he even finished top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting. But baseball is relentless, and the league adjusts fast. As 2010 rolled on, pitchers started working Boesch differently. The hot streak cooled. The results weren't as loud. And while the rookie year still finished strong on paper, it became clear that maintaining that early explosion was going to be a fight. That's part of what makes Boesch's Detroit story so memorable. You saw the ceiling. You saw how good it could look, and then you saw how hard it is to stay there. In 2011, Boesch showed he still had impact in the tank. He delivered real production when healthy. This wasn't a guy who disappeared entirely. But then came the turning point, a thumb ligament injury that ultimately required surgery. It cut his season short and, most painfully, kept him out of the 2011 postseason. For a player trying to lock down a long-term role in a contending lineup, losing that stage mattered. October is where roles become reputations. Boesch was back in 2012 and played a lot, over 130 games. But the overall production dipped. The Tigers had other outfield pieces, and Detroit's roster was shifting into win-now mode with less patience for inconsistency. Even so, this is the important part. Boesch was still part of that era. He wore the uniform during a stretch when Detroit was a national contender. And in 2012, the Tigers went all the way to the World Series, an iconic season in franchise history. Boesch's story isn't he never mattered. It's that he mattered. Then the roster, the health, and the performance curve all collided. By spring 2013, the writing was on the wall. Detroit's outfield mix changed, Boesch dealt with spring issues, and the Tigers ultimately released him. Just like that, the Boesch era in Detroit was over. 3 seasons that began with a rocket launch and ended with a roster squeeze. Brennan Boesch is one of those Tigers players you remember in snapshots. That first pitch confidence, that grand slam, those months where he looked like the next middle-of-the-order power bat. And even if the peak didn't last as long as fans hoped, those moments were real and they were fun. If you enjoyed this deep dive Tiger story, drop a like, subscribe, and comment.